And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt episode 285. I think it could be 86. We'll get that determined throughout the episode here at some point in time. I am your host, Ty Backer. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Stay tuned. We will be back after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer, TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. TC Backer, TC Backer.
Welcome to Behind the Tool Belt, where the stories are bold, the conversations are real, and the insights come to you live, raw, and uncut. Every week, host Ty Cobb Backer sits down to bring you the stories, the struggles, the lessons learned, and the wins. No filters, no scripts, just the truth. Please welcome your host of Behind the Tool Belt, Ty Cobb Backer.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Today's guest is a beast in the sales world, especially if you're in the roofing, remodeling, and home services. He's helped over 1,000 sales reps close over $300 million. And that's with an M, 300 million, not thousand, in deals, scaled companies to 8 figures, and build an army of sales killers with his One Call Close Academy. He's an author of the In-Home Sales and a 5-Minute Door Knocker is his book, actually the name of his book, and the founder of the One Call Close Academy. My man, what's up? How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing? Thank you for having me on.
Yes. Thank you for coming on the show, man. Seriously. After I did, of course I've heard of you and I've heard about you, and Vic reached out. You were so gracious enough to come on to the show. We sincerely apologize that I don't know if I've ever got to listen to you speak on stage or not, but like I said, I am fully well aware of who you are, what you've accomplished. And, it's amazing that you would take the time out of your day to come on to our show. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, let's kind of dive right into this. I mean, with all these things that you've done, you're an author, you have 2 bestsellers, Amazon bestsellers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've created the One Call Close Academy. What would have inspired you? You went from sales rep and into, developing a One Call Close system and founding of the One Call Close Academy. Like what inspired all of that? Like what happened? Was there a turning point where you're like, you know what, screw this industry sucks, I need to improve it? Like what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the industry 16 years this April. Came in as a sales rep off Craigslist, believe it or not, back in the day when people used to job search on Craigslist. Cool. And had success real quick, worked at several companies, went from sales rep to assistant manager to director of sales, worked at a couple other companies. There's not always the best owners in this industry, as I'm sure you already know. Had a business partner for a couple years, and like many relationships, we broke up, and that was December of 22. My wife, on the other hand, has been in my ear for the last 13, 15 years saying, you should speak on stages, you should coach, you're so good at it. So when that relationship ended, I was, I had a little time on my hands, and I'm like, let's start the One Call Close Academy. I've been teaching One Call Close. I've been doing One Call Close. And it's more fun sometimes to teach the masses than just the people you work with, right? So I do own a company in Carlsbad with a business partner here called Title Remodeling, and we do roofing, windows, paint and stucco, patios, pavers, turf, everything on the outside. But at the same time, I get to do One Call Close Academy and consult companies in Ohio, in Michigan, in Florida, in Utah, like all over the country. And it's a lot more fun to inspire, instead of your 20 sales reps, to inspire thousands of sales reps. So I think really that's what kicked it all off. And it's only been 2 years since it started, but man, it's a fast ride. And, I feel old always saying it, but time flies.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. That's what's great about you too, is that you actually have experience and a background in our industry. I think there's a lot of people that, that come into our industry, take advantage of a lot of our people in this industry, and don't have much experience in, they have experience in sales, but not what it's actually like in the day-to-day operations of running an exterior contracting company. And that's what I find very unique and inspiring about what you have done. And the other thing too, what I like about teaching is where I learn probably more from teaching other people than what I'm probably aspiring them to be. You know what I mean? Because I'm studying, I'm working on myself. And would you say that's true? Like, are you a different person now than you were when you started training and coaching and mentoring people 2 years ago?
Oh, 100%. Like one of the biggest things is aware of what you say and your nuances. I say the word right a lot because when I'm teaching and there's people not responding, so like, and this is how you do it, right? And I say things like that, and it drives my wife crazy. So like you just become so much better of a public speaker and aware of your language, your tone. I tried not to swear on stage as much as I did when I first started. There's still the F-bombs come out and this and that because I feel like you have more emphasis and more tone. But I'm well more aware of it and try to limit the amount of swearing that happens on stage.
God, that is so hard. Everything you just said is so hard. Getting rid of the ands, right? You know what I mean?
100%. And more so, it's I think the most painful part of the whole thing is listening to yourself. You talked about like you haven't seen me speak. Like I've seen myself speak. I'm like, that's what you guys like. Like you guys like this is what I sound like. So you're going to be your own worst critic every single time. So one of my biggest tips for sales reps is to record themselves. I tell my reps, if I have to suffer through watching you role play, you need to suffer through it first. Because you're going to be more of a critic of yourself than I am. And you have these reps that they sit at the kitchen table and they don't know that they touch their face when they talk or they click or they have weird mannerisms. It's like you have to watch yourself before I'm going to watch you.
Such great advice. Such great advice. Speaking of which, sales people's issues, what would you say is one of the biggest hurdles they have to jump as a salesperson, and not necessarily like technique, but more personally, like, is it having confidence in themselves, the product, the company they work for? What would you say with working with as many sales reps as you have? What's the biggest hurdle they have to get over?
I mean, number one is confidence in yourself, but to have confidence in yourself, you also have to have confidence in the company you work for. No one feels good telling people that XYZ is going to happen on the job site and then finding out it doesn't happen. So you really do need to vet the company that you're going to represent if you care at all about who you are, your last name, and what you represent. So I definitely think people need to vet the company, and then they actually need to have confidence in what it is that they're doing. Like one of the biggest things I see in all the coaching I've done is people think that charisma is enough to sell. Like, oh, people love me. I'm a people person. But there's a confidence that comes in knowing your steps and knowing what to do. And I think that's the biggest thing that I end up going to companies and teaching is, what's your sales process? And they're like, well, this guy does it this way. And Jimmy sells a lot because people like him. And Marty's new and he's starting to figure it out, but he needs, it's like, no, I need you guys to have a step 1, a step 2, a step 3, so that you can go from 10 sales reps to 50 sales reps and it's replicatable. And you can you have a system, because if you don't have a system, what are you doing in the sales meeting? Half the people aren't listening to you because they don't know what you're talking about. So I think companies lack systems more than anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that also helps with self-esteem and confidence. If they can come into a company and it's very systematic and it's easily duplicatable, like you were mentioning, and it's easily teachable and trainable, I think that helps encourage them to pick up quickly on the systems, the processes, the products, and the techniques quicker. But if it's a confidence thing because they just lack self-esteem or they're insecure, what would you say to a person new getting into the sales space and they just can't get over themselves? What's the best techniques that you have tried or have experienced to help people kind of just get over that hurdle of like being, confident in their abilities?
I mean, one thing, if it's people that aren't comfortable talking to people, I say you need to go talk to 20 strangers every single day. When you're in line at Starbucks, turn around and say, oh my God, it's been raining all day, right? What do you think of this weather? Aren't you sick of it? When you're at the bank, go talk to the bank teller. When you're like, you need to just start talking to people. But I think a lot of the confidence that people lack in themselves, they can gain from knowing the knowledge of the system and what it is that they're selling. They may not be confident in themselves, but if they know, okay, I have to do step 1, step 2, step 3, then they can forget about themselves and just focus on doing that. And then comes the small wins. So a lot of salespeople, they think the only win is if I make the sale. Well, what about the small wins of like you went to the lead and the homeowner's like, you know what, Ty, thanks so much, but we decided to cancel the appointment. We're not really interested anymore. We don't have any money. If you get yourself to that kitchen table to make a presentation, that's a win, regardless if you sell it or not, right? If the people didn't want you on the roof and you got yourself on the roof to take pictures and do discovery, that's a win. And when you start stacking the little wins, the confidence starts to build, right? It's like a little kid on a bike, they start with their training wheels and they're excited that they're moving forward. And then it's, let's take the training wheels off and I'll hold you. And then it's they're riding, but they fall. And then they're popping wheelies, right? So people want to go from 0 to 100 too fast. And a lot of people always focus on what's missing and never the gap. So one of the favorite books is The Gap in the Gain, right? Because everyone always, I made $100,000. How do I make $1 million? How do I make 10? When are you going to stop and celebrate the fact that you were broke and now you have $1 million? When are you going to stop and celebrate the fact that you have money in the account right now? Yes, there's always more. And I always believe in moving the needle forward, but there's got to be that small win, right? Where you give yourself credit and let the confidence build inside of you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. How long would you say before you throw a guy out there and he starts running appointments on his own? How long should that time frame be? 2 days, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months?
I think it really varies on the guy, right? But like we do a 2-week training in the classroom. So for the first 2 weeks, you're not going anywhere. We're going to teach you our system, our pitch, our slides, our inspection, our pricing, our work orders, everything like that. And then you get guys that at the end of those 2 weeks are like, put me in, coach, because they go home every single night and they role play and they internalize it and they write out the script. And I have guys that have sold their very first lead, and not one guy. I mean, I've been doing this 16 years. I can tell you 8 to 10 guys that they sold their first lead they ever ran, right? And then I have people that just went through a training class 2 months ago that they're still not ready and they're really on their way out the door. So like, there's also a part of you that's like, you got to be chomping at the bit to go be successful. And the people that are just going to wait and wait and wait, like, this might not be the right job for you. But I think the average person, to like truly answer your question, I think it's like 3 to 4 weeks, right? Yeah. Because personally, what we do is we put them in 2 weeks of training. Then we make them go on ride-alongs because I call it like the classroom and the lab. When you were in science in school, you had hands-on training and you had classroom training. I'm more of a lab learner. If I watch you go in house and I see Ty present 4 or 5 times, I'm like, that's what you want me to say? I got you. I'll regurgitate everything you said. But if you want me to do it in the classroom, it's going to take me a lot longer. So we do 2 weeks of classroom. We do a couple shadowed sales. And then it's like, dude, do you know your pitch? Come pitch me in the office. We make them do a small section of the pitch to hear what they have, because you don't need to hear the whole pitch. You can see, like, are they studying? Are they not studying? How are they talking? And then we send them out to the wolves, right? And then it's always, hey, I'm not going to fire you for not selling, but what happened? Let's draw a line down the piece of paper. What are 5 things you did great? What are 5 things you need to work on? Let's work on those 5 things. And that's a constant evolution, even for reps that have been doing this for 10 years. Your weaknesses, once you focus on them, become your strengths. Your strengths become your weaknesses, and it's a never-ending circle.
Yeah. Now, with your One Call Close Academy, is that like a learning portal, or is that you actually physically going to someone's facility and coaching the teams up?
So it's a little bit of everything. So I'm working on the learning portal as of right now. I've been shooting and will be done probably in the next 2-3 weeks. So you'll be able to just go on my website and there'll be videos on door knocking. There'll be videos on mindset. There'll be videos on One Call Close. Currently right now, it's I announced it on my website. I do a 6-session door knocking class. So it's 1 hour for 6 days. Usually it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The following week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's one to many. You sign up we get live on Zoom, and I teach 6 days of door knocking. And then I have the exact same thing for one call close. And I teach you what the steps are to the presentation, how to build your presentation. I handle a lot of questions and feedback and stuff like that. I also do live events. My first live event this year will be July 17th in San Diego. It's a 6-hour class, and that's not really on one call close. It's made more for owners and managers on how to build a one call close business that nets 6 figures every single month. So that's going to be July 17th. And then July 18th, I'm really excited. I'm just doing a networking event for 7 and 8 figure people. It's at opening day of the Del Mar racetrack, which it's kind of the equivalent of the Kentucky Derby. It's horse racing. I got a 5th floor level suite, and we're going to put 45 entrepreneurs in there just to build relationship capital and talk chop and watch horse racing. So I do, like you said, I will have an online portal. I do online training. I'm flying out to Minnesota this next week on the 17th and 18th, or 18th and 19th, to train a window company. So I do all kinds of training. I do one-on-one on Zoom. I fly out to companies. I like to go out to the companies because then you can't hide behind what you really have and what you don't have. Like, I get to sit there and it's all exposed.
Yeah, no, that's great. When you talk in terms of door knocking, is it more for storm damage, or is it retail?
So we are in San Diego. Even though it's cloudy, it's 70 degrees every single day and we have no weather. So we're 100% retail shop. We do approximately $2 million a month in just retail business.
Okay. So you train other companies how to knock doors for retail.
Yeah. There's a lot of companies. There's a lot of people that train how to do insurance, and not to take anything away from those people, but that's an easy sale. It's like, hey, how about a free roof for $1,000 deductible? And, now more than ever, I have so many insurance salespeople reaching out to me asking how to do retail, because the insurance companies aren't accepting the claims anymore. The owners want to know how to do retail because the cash flow is becoming a problem because it takes so long to get paid. So I focus 100% on retail.
Yeah. And that's kind of an anomaly and I say that because usually when in our space or our industry, a lot of door knockers, are in that insurance restoration space. Yeah. But I think it's very unique to actually knock doors for retail. And I think a lot of people don't even think of that, especially here up north. I mean, we have Anderson windows that goes around and they canvas and they do the hard sells. They're in your home for 3 hours, and they kind of got a bad name for that, but it works. And why do you think what separates that from running SEOs, pay-per-click ads, billboards, and stuff like that? Why what makes door knocking so special?
Speed to lead, right? If you're going to go SEO right now, you're going to call a company, you're going to have a 1-hour Zoom call. They're going to have to build something for you for the next week. Then you're going to give them $10,000. They're going to post it online. You're like, where's my leads? They're going to tell you, the algorithm has to learn. We have to figure out your keywords. Meanwhile, in all that time, I can go take door knockers out and you can be at a kitchen table tomorrow afternoon. I mean, we literally, our business is next day business. We knock today for tomorrow, and oftentimes today for today. I'll have my door knockers at 11 a.m. Hey, you guys going to be home later this afternoon, Ty? How about we swing by at 4 o'clock? And at 6:30, we have a contract, a deposit, and 3 days later, we're tearing off your roof. So I think it's the speed to lead. Also, I'll tell you the other difference between retail door knocking and storm knocking is when a storm hits, you have thousands of door knockers come in, right? So the homeowners are irritated. In one day, they've had 12 door knocks, right? And when there is no storm, these companies are starving, right? Versus we go every day, doesn't matter the day of the year. There's some competition, but the competition is much less. So, and you don't have to worry about what to do if there's no storm. And that's also why people call me is they're like, we haven't had a storm. How are we going to generate business? We need to survive. I'm like, dude, go retail door knock.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Instead of sitting around with your thumb up your butt, waiting for the phone to ring, you need to actually go out and get it. And a lot of times when you show up at these people's houses, they know they need to call somebody, but they just haven't had the time. They haven't worked up the courage or whatever. So realistically, you're showing up as I guess for lack of better terms, the hero, like, yeah, I'm here. Let's do it now. So when you train somebody, like, are you sending out like a canvasser to set the appointment?
Yep.
And then
we do a setter closer model. So like at Title here, we have 22 door knockers. They go out every single day. They set up leads for tomorrow. I have 17 closers. They get assigned the appointments that the knockers create.
Okay, cool. Let's dive into the Title remodeling case here. Tell us about how you were able to scale it from 0 to $20 million in such a short period of time, like 17, 18 months. Like, how do you do that? That almost sounds
absolutely.
like,
I mean,
magic.
One, it comes with 16 years of experience. So we already know what we're doing, right? It's just a new company. And it really, I think some of the biggest things that separate us is the culture, and culture is a word that everyone throws out there, but I'll tell you, the culture was intentional before the company started. A lot of companies start and then they look around, they're like, so what is our culture? And they'll just figure it out from what's there versus we reversed engineered it. And we said, myself, Tyler, my business partner, we like to surf. He likes to scuba dive. We're environmentally friendly. We're active people. He's just turned 35. I'm a little older, right? But we wanted a young crew. So like, I really recommend to people, and I learned this from William Lamb, who's he practices NLP, neuro linguistic programming. It's like, write 50 traits down of your ideal candidate, of your ideal salespeople, right? And not the bullshit of he works hard and he's motivated. No, they like to work out. They like tennis. They like scuba diving. They like to give back. They like team atmosphere. They're competitive. There's never enough money for them. Stuff like that. And then you start building avatars of who these people are. And I'll tell you, we have people from our Indeed ads, because it talks about our culture so much, that they show up to the door. They're like, hey, I really want to work here. We're like, why didn't you send your resume? And they're like, because I really wanted you to meet me and I really want to work here. Right. Mm-hmm. And then we have a gorgeous office with roll-up garage doors and polished concrete floors. And we have a whole turf wall. And people come in here and they're like, what is this place? Like, it does not look like a construction company. So I think that helps attract a lot of talent. People come in for an interview and they automatically want to work here. We have the music going at all times. There's some dogs in the office. Like, it's just a really friendly place to be. And then on top of that, we add the swag to it, right? We have an amazing swag shop that Tyler created. Every time you get a sale at our company, you get $5 to the swag shop. And at the end of the month, we give you a gift card, and we have golf jackets, and we have hoodies, and we have shoes and wallets and shot glasses. And I mean, every day we're adding to the swag shop. And people are like, why does that matter? Well, because these guys are so proud of working here that when they're out at Saturday night, they're still wearing Title gear. When they're out at the beach, they're wearing Title gear. So we also do things like beach cleanups. First Saturday of every month, we go down south and clean up a beach. You have 18 dudes head to toe Title remodeling. People are like, who are these people? What is it? I want part of the movement. So you create the culture, you create the success, right? We have bonuses every single month. Just like I'm doing the meetup at opening day, we have tables for our guys. Top 6 reps this month go to opening day. We do once a year. Twice a year. We do a mindfulness retreat for our guys where we take them out to like Joshua Tree and they do journaling and meditation and breath work. And people think it's a little, woo woo, but like these guys are out connected like a unit. And you have men crying around a fire where they really make connection. And then we do fun stuff. We do yacht parties and stuff like that. But on top of it all, we train and we train and we train. And like what I was saying about being replicatable, you can take a sales rep here and have him start pitching you and stop him and have another rep go and say, finish his sentence, and then another one and another one. And you're going to get a coherent pitch out of them. So because they all know the pitch, our sales meetings are very effective. And then we do what's called power results. We look at our results and we train based on results. We don't just train, hey, what do you feel like training on today? It's like, well, we had a lot of no demos this week. Well, let's train on mindset and let's train on how to get in the house. Well, we had a lot of pitch misses, and the main objection this week was need to think about it. So what does need to think about it? They didn't trust you, you didn't kill the competition, you didn't create enough need and urgency, or you just didn't close it with the negotiation tactics that we teach. So let's focus on those things. And we do that with the salesmen, and we also do it with the door knockers. So if the door knockers create a bunch of leads today and there's a bunch of no-shows, they didn't create enough needed an urgency for the homeowner to be there. So today I'm going to go in there from 10 to 10:30 and give a meeting on need and urgency. Mm-hmm. Or if they had a bunch of one legs, meaning the homeowner was, the wife was home, but the husband wasn't, we're going to teach them on how to make sure both homeowners are there. Because we are one call close, we want to go one time. So we need to make sure both homeowners are there so we can do our presentation and walk out with the sale. So I'm sorry that was long-winded, but I mean, there's so much that added to us doing $18 million in our first year of business. And we're still working on it, right? And now we're like, we have the whiteboard up here, and it's like, how do we get to $5 million a month, right? And we know that it's just an equation. Men and women lie, numbers don't. So right now we average around 120 leads a week. We know that if we get 333 leads a week, we'll be cruising over $5 million net business every single month. So now that's our number one goal is more knockers, more leads, and get to 5 million a month.
How many doors is that a month that somebody actually has to knock to get 320 leads?
So it would be somewhere around.
Would you say that's 10%? Like, is it?
So the average
1,200 doors. Yeah.
The average door knocker is going to knock 200 doors a day, and they're going to come back with 2 to 3 leads, right? So you got to multiply it by 3. If we wanted, if that's 1,300 leads a month that we want, so we need to knock closer to 3,600 doors to get the 1,300.
Right on. And that was just a random question. I was sitting there thinking about it because I kind of know that from just our experience too. I've been doing this a long time myself. But I love the topic on culture and getting the team engaged and swag. I mean, we are a huge swag company. Every event that we host, we have plenty of swag there, and we get involved with our community on a lot of different levels. Fundraising, we create our own events. We help other companies with their events. We win awards for, our charitable events. Not that we set out to do that. And I was kind of the company that didn't reverse engineer. It was kind of like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years into it, it was kind of like, all right, what culture are we?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I envy you in terms of, being able to set out and know what your goal was and vetting those people. So my question going back to, how, walk us through, how do you find these people? And then what is your vetting process to make sure that you're bringing the right people on the team to not ruin the culture?
Yeah. And I'll tell you real quick before that, why the culture is so important that you have a congruent team is because of things like bonuses, right? If you have a bunch of 18-year-olds and a bunch of 60-year-olds and you say the bonus this month is to go to a concert, they all go to a concert. Like the 18-year-olds want to go to the concert. The 6-year-old doesn't want to do that. So it doesn't align for him. So if you have all this group and they like the same stuff, then the bonuses and everything works for them as well, right? But we do Indeed. That's where most of our people come from right now. And we spend a lot of time writing those ads because if you go on Indeed right now, every single company's ad looks identical. The only thing that's different is the company name. So ours talks a lot more about the culture. And, my business partner is a guru on ChatGPT and he writes prompts. And we talk about the pain points that the people we're looking for would have, not belonging to a company, not making enough money, not finding success quickly. And then we put the 50 traits that we want to find, and then we write ads that way. So once we do have Indeed, we have a woman that does Zoom interviews for us, and she's the first screening. And then after that, they come in for in-person interviews, and Tyler will interview, and I will interview sometimes. And then we'll set up another interview for the other person. So they have to go through 3 interviews to go through it. And that's for our salesmen. Our door knockers, they go through a Zoom interview. They do an in-person interview. And then we actually make them go to work for a day. Because what we found is when people are interviewing, even though like I tell you how hard the job is and you're going to get rejected and kicked in the face all day long, when people are in interview mode, all they want to do is get the job. They don't even know what they're saying yes to. They're like, yes, yes. And then you put them through 2 days of training, paid training, right? Because we're in California, it's W-2. I can't 1099 them. Then they go out to a day in the field. They're like, holy shit, this is hard. I quit. So now we reverse engineered. We flip the script. We're like, go see how hard it is. If you still want to do it, then we're going to train you. And the door knocking training is quick. It's 2 days, 4 hours each day in the classroom, teaching you how to identify damage, how to our pitch, and how to give some rebuttals to objections. And then it's shadowing in the field. You know, I'm going to walk with you, listen to what you say. Then you're going to walk to me, listen to what I say. And then we train them every day for 30 minutes.
Wow. No, this is great. This is all good stuff. Such great information, and that you're freely open to sharing those things with us.
Oh,
and,
100%.
Yeah. So, and I love how you do the interviewing process. We do the same thing too, because you figure if they make it to the third one, it's usually, you know, because that's one way to kind of sift them out, because most people show up to the Zoom meeting call because we'll do a group call. And I'm imagining that's probably what you guys do. You'll get, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 people on the Zoom call that applied for the ad, and then set up a second one. Some start to drop off. And then by the third interview, more start to drop off by that time, because they got to put in the work, right? They got to put in the time. They got to put in the work. And right away,
it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to see, can this guy show up 3 times on time?
Yes. Right. Exactly. I think we froze a little bit here.
I think there we go.
There you are.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I was just saying it's an opportunity to see if they can show up on time.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that piece, basically hire slow, let go quickly. So let's talk about like the letting go process. Like after you've realized that, you've done everything, because I'm a firm believer that, if you're pointing a finger, you got 3 pointing back at you. And our team knows, like, we need to pour into this person, because some people, like you said, might take 2 weeks. Some people might take 4 weeks. It doesn't mean they're going to be a bad salesperson. But if they're not meeting us halfway, how do you determine, like, if they're not meeting us halfway, they're not going to cut it? How do you determine that? And then what's your process of letting them go?
So everybody knows after 3 months on the team, if you don't hit 50K in sales, you're fired. So I'm not firing you. You're firing yourself.
So you're setting that expectation up front.
There's an expectation. They're hired. 50K, you don't hit that, thanks for playing. We give them 1 week to self-generate a sale of $10,000 or more if they really want to keep the job. But usually once they've gone 3 months with 50K, without hitting 50K, they're gone. Canvassers, on the other hand, and this is also depending on attitude and if they're not putting in the work. There's times where we let go day 4. Like, I asked you to do homework, you didn't do it. I asked you to do homework again, you didn't do it. I asked you to come 30 minutes early for some training, you didn't do it. Dude, we're just not a good fit for each other. Get out, right? And then there's the people that are really trying, and just not hitting it. So we have minimal acceptable performance, which is 4 demos a week, right? If you don't hit 4 demos a week, we're going to talk about it. Next week, if you don't hit 4 demos a week, we're going to talk about it, see what's going on. You'll be suspended for 2 days. You come back from that and you don't hit 4 demos a week again, we're going to part as friends, right? There has to be like a matrix and KPIs that people know, because if not, then it becomes too emotional. Like, well, this person didn't hit it and you kept them on, and because I'm brown, you didn't, like whatever it might be. So it's just got to be like, men and women lie, numbers don't. And I really try to run the business on numbers. A lot of times when we look at sales stats, you have all their information in the names. I put a piece of paper across the names and I just look at numbers. And then after I'm done looking at the numbers, then I'll look at the names, right? So that there's no emotion tied to it.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a great idea. That is actually an amazing idea. No, I love that. I love that. So let's change gears here a little bit. Let's talk about you personally. And so, you've been in the industry for 16, 17 years now, or in the sales industry space, I guess. What has been some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to go through to get where you're at today? And this can be like a timeline. Like, the first hurdle was this, I had to get through that, and to where you're at now. Like, what's your biggest struggle today? So give us that timeline.
So, my first hurdle was my first 30 days in the industry. I showed up, like I said, Craigslist ad, home improvement company, looked at the sales board. I'm like, man, this is a cool job. Prior to that, I was in an office banging out cold calls for software. I would have hung myself from the phone a couple more days there. And the first 30 days, I went through training. Back then, it was a 1-week training. I actually ran a lead. I trained Monday through Friday. I ran a lead that Friday because I just took it so professionally. I sold my second day for $17,000 to a woman in Long Beach, California. She canceled. Boom. She went to church that night, told them that she got a coding system on her house for $17,000. The church canceled the job. The next day, there was people from her church painting her house for free. And then it took me a month to sell again. And that was a really long month because I always say salesmen without sales are just men, right? And when you're doing a sales job, you need to be selling. And it was Tracy, my wife. We've been together 16 years. She was with me at the time. She just keep going. I'm like, I'm going to quit. She's like, keep going. I'm going to quit. Keep going. And it was like, I would believe the homeowners, it made sense. Like the homeowners would tell you, we're not really in the market right now. You just knocked on my door yesterday. I'm like, that makes sense. No sale. Or we need to think about it. Or we need to get other bids. And then day 30, it just clicked and I sold. And then I sold day 31 and day 32 and day 34 and day 36. And then it was off to the races. But it was that self-belief in the system because everyone goes through the same process. One, they got to believe it's possible. Then they got to believe it's possible for them. So yes, I work at the company. I see other people making sales. Cool. Well, can I make the sales? So that was like my biggest hurdle, number one. Number two was I stayed at the first company for too long. It was a owner that cut people's commissions too much. He was an alcoholic. He was nice during the day, horrible to work for at night. And I just believed that this was the only place that it happens. I was so narrow-minded. So it took me 3 years to leave. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's 100 home improvement companies that do what we do. Mm-hmm. Right. And then my next biggest hurdle was having a toxic business partner. He was a lot wealthier than I was. And, everything was in my name. I was the worker bee and he was just the owner, even though we were both owners. And I stayed in that toxic relationship for too long. And now my biggest hurdle is really just, I know what needs to get done and getting it done faster, right? I know what we need to do to get to $5 million a month. And it's just, things don't happen as fast as you want. And I think that happens for all business owners. And that's why a lot of people fail, for a lack of patience and persistence, right? One Call Close Academy. I have a Facebook group called One Call Close Academy. It only has 1,200, 1,300 followers. And it's exhausting to post every day and not get the likes and not get, because we're in a social media world where these kids have 1 million followers. It's like, why doesn't One Call Close Academy have 1 million followers? But I talk to people like yourself and other people that are doing it, and just keep going. And one day it'll pay off. I'll tell you, the first 100 took a lot longer than the first 1,000, and it's just now going to be compound effect. And getting on your first podcast, a year and a half ago was my first podcast. And then this is my third one this month. Right. Awesome. Like the persistence is something that I think people have a hard time with everything. It's why I don't have a 6-pack. I go to the gym for a day. I look in the mirror. I don't see any results. I'm like, gym doesn't fucking work. Everyone's lying, You got to go for months. You got to watch what you eat. Like there's so much that goes with it. And that's why I think another thing that attributes to our success is we just don't train sales. We train a lot of mindset. We make our reps journal, right? That's why like my new book, The 5-Minute Journal, it's like 300 some pages, but the book is only 68 pages and the rest of it's all journal. It's all journal for door knockers. It's got a daily journal, a weekly journal, a monthly journal. Wow. Because I don't think adult men and women spend enough time writing down their ideas, and a goal or a thought that's not written down is a fleeting moment. And if you're really going to commit to something, you got to write it down. And that's also why a lot of people fail, is they don't have a strong enough why, or they think, oh, why? Because I want a Bentley, but you didn't write it down. So you didn't really commit to it. So you're not really working every day, especially on the days you don't feel like doing it, because everyone's got the days they don't feel like doing it. But if your why is strong enough, you're going to get up and do it even the time you don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, delayed gratification. I think we've become such an instant gratification world. Even myself, and just with the little bit of followers that I have, I mean, that's taken years to get. Just I think I might have 6,500 personally. I don't even know what our company has. Like all together is probably 12 to 15,000 followers, right? And what's sad about that is that once you've identified, there's more people watching you than you think. Just because they're not following you doesn't mean they haven't seen your content. And honestly, I think some of these people that have 1 million followers, I think they bought them.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
There are people that just don't even relate to the space. And that's what other people tell me. It's like, I'd rather have 1,500 followers that actually follow me and do what I like and get advice from me than 1 million. And, half of them are in Asia that aren't even real. Like, I actually want to have influence on the people. I mean, testament to you, you're on episode 285, right? Mm-hmm. Every single week. You told me you haven't missed a single week. That's exhausting. There's times when you're probably, man, should we keep doing it? Should we not keep doing it? But here you are, 285, and in 100 episodes, you'll be at 385.
Yeah. Yeah. It is exhausting. You're right. And it's just, you got to stay consistent with it. And it's gotten easier over time. And like you said, it's been so beneficial because I'm getting better. I'm getting better at speaking. I'm creating and galvanizing relationships with people that have come on that I've never met before, but because of social commerce, right? I've got to meet you, and like you were talking about earlier, I think, how did you say it? Like I always, your network is your net worth, right? And you called it something else. Relationship capital, right? That's what, it's not just about the views or the followers. It's the relationships that I've been able to galvanize over the years of doing this is what has made me more wealthier, not in terms of monetarily, but knowledge and those relationships that have turned me on to other products or people that have helped us in situations where I need there's the list is endless of what, 100%. Social media. And
how many people can you call right now? Hey, I'm in this situation. What should I do? And people that have done it and are successful, like there's so much to do it. And that's also another reason why Title has grown so fast, because I've been doing it for so long. I already knew the suppliers. People already knew who I was. It was easy versus if you're brand new, how long does it take you to open an account at ABC? I did it in a day. Stuff like that changes too.
For sure, because of your relationships, your past relationships with people. Sure. Totally. No, I 100% agree with you. Now, what would you say? Because having a book, called One Call Close. What do you think the biggest misconception of that? Because somebody might look at that and hear that and say, "Oh, God, that's grimy." But what's the biggest misconception of that?
Just that people are grimy, right? We are very ethical in what we do. And I teach people, how to close with the definition really of the sale I teach. It's an emotional sale supported by logic. There's nothing logical about doing business with a door knocker. There's nothing logical about signing a contract with the first bid. Everyone's responsible and wants to get 3 bids, right? But when you teach people how to actually do it, it changes companies. So I think that the people think it's sleazy salesmanship, right? Kind of like the car salesman. But you read the book and you'll be surprised.
But just salesperson in general gets a bad rap just because of the word sales in front of person,
Look,
and we talk, I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's not even a word used today. And I wrote about it in the book. Back in the day, our grandparents, they were salesmen. They wore suits and Cadillacs, and it was a thing of pride. And you go on Indeed today, and companies are looking for business development reps. And you buy your Apple computer from a genius, not a salesman. They're called genius. And you go to Lululemon, and they're called facilitators or educators or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Every single job that is a sales position, they don't even use the word sales position anymore because it's so frowned upon.
Mm-hmm. For sure. No, I agree. We talked about that last week, and I should have looked it up between last week and this week, but like the word sales itself, I don't know if it's old English or old Spanish. I believe it actually means help, to help someone, not to necessarily sell something to somebody. And I think the world has become so uneducated, even though we're in the most educated world, that is, the knowledge is so readily available to us. I think we've become so narrow-minded and have been burnt so many times by used car salespeople.
For sure.
People are afraid to use the word sales. But when you can, and this is the thing that I think you've mastered the most, and I don't think you can find this in any book. You get books on sales, you get books on business, you get books on leadership, but nobody talks about velocity. Okay. And what can keep a business sustainable is the velocity in which it moves. Okay. And with that reoccurring revenue, because it's like, and I think that's where a lot of business owners get hemmed up. And you do a lot. So do we. We do roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar, right? And we still do landscaping. Now we kind of morphed it all into one business. And I even contemplated times like, decks and pulling permits and doing all these things, man, like there's no velocity to it unless you're doing some form of volume with it. You know what I mean? Where you're selling 12 decks a week and you got that monetary volume clicking. But I love how you've mastered, velocity, which to me, one call close sounds like music to my ears as a business owner, as the entrepreneur. Within the business, right? And I like that, for anybody that's in business or an entrepreneur or a manager or sales manager, whatever, listening to this right now, this is very important. The velocity in which you close the sale, right? And the velocity in which you get it on the schedule, the velocity in which you move to keep the homeowner happy, get the job completed on time, and then get paid. That's what's going to sustain it and keep your business relevant.
And pay your rep. Don't forget the rep.
Yeah.
Right. That's so important for these guys too. And that's what keeps them going too. And the other thing, like you said, you do a bunch of products. I do a bunch of products. Like the average homeowner buys 2.5 products from us. Right. I teach our guys to only sell one product at a time because you don't want to overwhelm the homeowner. It's easier to make a buying decision at $25K than $60K. There's less buyer's remorse. But 3 days later, once we start tearing off your roof, like, believe me, we're going back to sell you insulation. We're going back to sell you gutters. We're going back to sell you paint for the fascia boards we just replaced. Wow. So anyone listening that's not doing complementary projects or products, like if you're selling roofing and you're not doing attic insulation and gutters, you're leaving money on the table, right? Wow. If you're selling paint and you're not doing the patio cover, like instead of painting the patio cover, sell them a replacement patio cover. Right. Mm-hmm. If you're doing and it all rolls one into the other. And if you find a customer that likes you and trusts you, they're also excited because a lot of times, especially with the door knocking, we're taking people that are not in a home improvement state of mind and putting them in a home improvement state of mind. And there's a lot of excitement and emotion that goes into it. And one project rolls into the next. When you buy a new car, you tint the windows and you add sound. When the car's old, you don't do anything to it. You think about getting rid of it. So it's like, how quickly can you capitalize on this emotion? And I tell people, you need to go capitalize on the emotion, and we call it reload more projects before the bill comes. Because once the bill comes, the emotion's gone. Now it's this bill, right? So we sell a lot of projects in a week, 2 weeks to the homeowner. And it comes down to making sure your salesmen are going and visiting their customer. How often does the guy that signed the contract go visit their job? Never. They're on to the next one. But you got to build that relationship. And then we teach our salesmen how to knock on the neighbors' doors and make sure the neighbors want to keep up with the Joneses, right? And then it just builds and builds and builds. And we pay them more money. We pay 20% of profit share to our sales reps for leads that we give them. If they generate the lead themselves, we pay them 35%. We almost double their commission to incentivize them to knock doors and ask for referrals on their free time.
Wow. That's amazing. That whole process that you just described is amazing. I mean, I wouldn't even know how you would measure, I'm thinking of LTV, lifetime value, and reoccurring clients, because that's one of our biggest, I call it a 3-legged stool. We have a couple 3-legged stools, but one of them is repeat customer referrals and what's the other one? Review. We ask for reviews and stuff like that. So 100%. So I don't know if I've ever thought about sending the guys back out during the project and, bringing things to the homeowner's attention, like, hey, you know, while we're here, we can do this and do that. I mean, I think, and
Hi, I feel like I
naive.
did you a disservice. I'm so sorry. I was so focused on your roof
Yeah.
that I didn't notice the peeling, chipping, and cracking on your siding. I didn't notice this. Like, I'm so sorry. Let me go inside and show you something. And then you walk out with a sale. And then the other one is take that homeowner. And do you know the neighbor? Awesome. Ty, can you do me a favor? Will you just introduce me to the neighbor? Now you're not even cold door knocking anymore. You're having John go take you to Dave's house. All he has to say is, hey, Dave, this is Shai. He's the guy that's doing our roof. Hey, Dave, how you doing? I'll take it from there. Who came first, you or John? Oh, we've been here before them. How old's your roof? You know, I'm going to be here all week. How about I just hop up there, give you a free inspection, no obligation. Next thing you know, there's your sale. And then you're selling him insulation and then gutters. And by the way, who do you know? Because we also give our customers $500 referral credits, right?
Yeah.
You want me to pay for the deposit, or do you want to pay for the deposit? If you want me to pay the deposit, give me 2 referrals that buy from me. We'll waive the $1,000. I'll give you $1,000.
Awesome.
So it's all these little things that we teach our reps that keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's all about velocity and the momentum, man. And when you got the momentum, you got to keep it going too. Great. So before we get off here, let's dip into a little bit on the personal side here. What keeps you motivated both professionally and personally?
So I have huge goals, right? I have an incredible wife, love of my life. I have 3 beautiful daughters. And I just want to give them a life that, you know, we all dream of. We travel a ton. So we love to travel. That's big for us. We're about to build our house. We've been in the city for over 3 years to build our house. The girls, like, what my girls think is normal and what I grew up with was normal. You know, eating out 5 nights a week is normal to these girls. To me, eating out was a special occasion, right? Going to New York for Thanksgiving, going to Mexico, going to Tulum, going, you know, to Italy, going here, going there. Like, to them, they really treasure it and they remember this, and the culture they're getting is amazing. My parents traveled with us a lot. And one of the things that Tracy, my wife, and I said when we had kids is we're never going to let our kids stop us from traveling. We're just going to travel with our kids. Amen. Right. So, and I really like nice things too. I like nice cars, and I want a yacht, and we want houses, and my wife wants to do a month in Spain and a month in Italy. And, you know, I want to be able to give them all these things. And then the other thing that keeps me going is the reward I get from watching my reps. You know, Tyler, my business partner at Title, used to be a manager for me. He was a sales rep for me first. Then he was a manager for me. And then we did this together. He bought his first house because of what we did together. I have sales reps that bought their first house together. I have sales reps that move out of living with their parents to renting their houses. I have multiple reps right now that are getting pre-approved to buy their first home. I have reps that were driving, you know, hoopties that are driving BMWs and Mercedes, right? Like, and that to me, sometimes that's more of a win for me than my paycheck, right? Is watching other people level up. When I started One Call Close Academy, you know, you think of what are your core values and what's your motto and everything. I came up with, you know, empowering ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. And that's what I want to do. I just want people to achieve extraordinary results. And to me, it's just a little feather in my hat, and it's a win. And your wins become my wins. And that also creates a stronger bond and relationship. You know, I have people that have worked for me that have their own companies now. And yeah, they compete with me, but I don't look at it as competition, because I think there's enough sunshine for everyone. And every now and then you get these text messages like, thank you so much. I wouldn't be where I'm at without you. And like, to them, that's a simple text. To me, that's like, dude, that's a heart stopper, you know, and that's what keeps me motivated every single day. And my 3 little girls, I mean, they are my world.
Yeah. Amazing. Great order. I love the order that you put them in. You know, and it should be family first, but the impact that you're having on your team and your local community is definitely, you know, great motivators. And watching, you know, and I've said it before, we've had people come, a lot of people stay. But unfortunately or fortunately, we have people go. And most recently, I just experienced somebody. Now, it wasn't a text message, but it was a comment on a post on TikTok that, you know, a guy that used to work for us had made a really nice comment in the post. And it kind of just And this is the strange thing about legacy is that that's a part of your legacy, whether they want to admit it or not. It's because of the tools and resources that you educated them on. Right. They've been able to apply that into their own lives and create their own businesses. And the only thing that we can hope for is that they impact, hopefully they make $100 million and can impact another 100 million people, with the
100%.
tools and resources that you've given them. Right. And that's the thing about leadership. Like we won't be able to take credit for everything. But to watch other people groom, to groom them and watch them grow, to me, that's probably definitely up on the top 5 of my highly motivators. Of course, number 1 is my family and watching them grow and blossom and flourish and help them achieve their goals and their dreams and give them the life that, we want. And I say I emphasize that because it is, without them, I'm nothing. And what I can't do alone, we can do together. And when I say that, I'm thinking of my family and then of course my work family too. So great freaking episode, man. Like you crushed it. And thank you. We're just about at a 1 hour.
So that was incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, this was good. Thank you. So, that's a wrap for today's episode of Behind the Tool Belt. Huge thanks to Shai for dropping some serious knowledge on what it really takes to close deals with confidence and integrity. If you're in the field, in the home, or just looking to level up your sales game, make sure you check out the One Call Close Academy. Grab his books, follow him on social. This guy's the real deal. If you guys got value from today's episode, do us a favor. Like, share, subscribe, whatever. To anybody that you feel might get something out of this, leave us a review. Until next time, keep grinding, keep building, and we'll catch you on the next episode.